A very good afternoon to all our followers from Body Mind Soul magazine, and also welcome to our Body Mind Soul Live Talk number 98. The beauty of night sky. Once again, this is Christina with you. I know it's a very sunshine, bright afternoon in Malaysia, and of course, we will be having our guest all the way from South Australia. And according to her, the time over there is 5 something. Yes, we are talking and we are going to talk about the night sky in a broad sunlight. How about that? Yeah, so how's everyone doing? Let me know where you're coming from. And even if you're not watching it from live, you can still let us know and leave a comment. I know some of us have been asking, how come there is no live talk for quite some time? Yes, because we are doing a little bit of restructuring, and also the host herself was going through some health challenges in the past 1 month. So I've lost my voice. And of course, technically, I can't do any live talk when I lost my voice. I can't even talk for 2 weeks, and literally no voice for 2 weeks. Of course, I have new things to share with you. And just to remind all of us, it's the last month of the year. It's called Christmas is just around the corner. It's all the jolly holiday coming soon. And for those in the Asia country, Chinese New Year is also coming up right after this. So we are all very, very busy with prepping for holidays, prepping for Christmas present, prepping for all the Chinese New Year cookies. But that doesn't stop us to also take some time to appreciate the starry nights in the sky. So I want to ask a lot of us, have you seen any stars lately? If you do, please tell me, where are you seeing it from? I recently came back from Terengganu, and I would say at the beach side is really like not much of lights you can see at night, because I need torchlight to walk back to my room. That is the beauty of that space. And it has been such a long time for me to be able to see a lot of stars blinking and shining and sparkling in the sky, and when the night is really dark. And that is something that we can't truly appreciate when we are staying in the city, right? And that is why a lot of us are so eagerly, when we are able to travel, we are so eager to go out, explore. I'm not sure, or was it travel to shop or travel to shop with nature? So let me know, let me know how you all feel. And also, the second question I would like to throw is, have you ever wondered what impact night sky has on our health, on the plants, and also animals that's living on Earth, on this planet Earth that we are all sharing the habitat together? Yeah, so do let me know how all of you is feeling. How is everyone doing so far before I bring up my guest up. Okay, I've Al. Hi Al, long time no see. Curious, where is the night sky? Definitely not at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Kuala Lumpur. Perhaps let's see whether 8 p.m. you will have your night sky. Yeah, Cherating, yeah, Christina. Yes, you got it right. That's for sure. Yeah, and of course, and also, before I bring up the guest later, stay together with me. I got something great to share with you also, Al, over there. Let me just pull back. And if you have not registered for the workshop that I'm about to carry out next Sunday, it's time for you to grab your seats, and the admin going to pop up the link for you. Reunited and it feels so good. Doesn't it sound familiar? It's actually an inspiration from the song Reunited and it feels so good. So I hope I entertain you a little bit. It's a free online self-development workshop, especially for our Body Mind Soul community, but it's free for everyone. If you are not the community and you are being called to attend this workshop, do join me next Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. via Zoom. And what you'll get is an experience to unity within your heart. Basically, we are going to reconnect back with our heart, and from there, understand ourselves from a different angle, anger perhaps, and unleash, our natural confidence. And therefore, we can truly live and discover to live daily with our inner joy and happiness, and also to celebrate Christmas together. Okay, so the link is already up for you. And of course, I can't wait to bring up our guest. So, it's been long, but let's do this together. You always need to warm up your palms together, and then you can clap, 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 even though we are not, right with the screen. But that doesn't stop us to welcome Kelly Kuhn, master juggler of Juggle House Experiences from South Australia. I was telling Kelly, my tongue is twisting every time when I have to read that. Kelly, how are you?
Thank you, Christina. I am well, and I'm so glad that you are. Welcome back. It's lovely to hear your voice, and even that you were coming back to the stage with singing, so everyone would be so happy to hear from you. I am very happy to come to you from South Australia. It is 5:36 p.m., so it's not yet dark, but when it does get dark here, we are very blessed with around 2,000 to 3,000 stars in our sky in the darkest phase of the moon calendar. So I do stargazing tours, and you can see I wore my bling for you all today.
Yeah, can really tell there are lots of stars with you right now and as we speak. But Kelly, just a little bit of introduction, like you have sort of touched, you do stargazing tours, and we welcome all our guests to also ask us question if you do have. But Kelly, before we go further, Al is saying hi to you. It's Kelly, but Al is fine. Yeah, so Al used to study in Adelaide University. So Al must have some experience that perhaps you can add it on together with Kelly later, Al. Yes, Kelly. So go back to you, Kelly. How a little bit of sharing for our audience to understand you better. And you have touched about the stargazing tour. Perhaps you can also share with us. So the stage is yours.
Thank you. So, my background is tourism. I host people from all around the world. In fact, we
Mhm.
recently had some of your team from Malaysia come here, which is how I came to be on this program, which I'm very excited about. So, my uh, business is located an hour and a half or 90 minutes east of Adelaide, of the capital city. And we do all sorts of adventures around South Australia. But this one is perhaps the most exciting and the most meaningful because it's about the benefits of health with connecting to nature and also viewing our universe the way that we can't see it in many other places around the world. So 1/3 of our world's population live in cities and we can't see the stars. So we are very happy that this is Australia's very first internationally accredited dark sky reserve, and there's only 2 in the southern hemisphere and only 20 around the world. So it is a great place
Wow.
to come and really kind of immerse yourself in the nature. We're based on the River Murray, the 3rd longest navigable world's largest river, so the 3rd largest. So it is full of kangaroos, wombats, emus, echidnas, all sorts of nature and wildlife, as well as our beautiful river running through. So, yes, I do value greatly to be able to be here and share some of those benefits of being able to see the stars and talking a little bit about light pollution around the world and what we can do to help.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm. I have all over here, Starry Starry Night, Kali. As we were talking about this, Kali and I, we had a discussion before we actually have a talk over here. And I was just telling Kali the very first time I experienced Milky Way was when I was in Australia visiting my brother. And that was the first time we were freezing cold, and then we were like do not know what to do. And when I look up the sky, and my mom was shouting, look, it's just something that you wouldn't do if you grow up in the city. Because when you grow up in the city, nothing you can see in the sky, though the stars is forever there. There are million stars surrounding us forever there, but we just don't have the chance to do that. And that is where when Kelly told me and shared with us, there's this thing called light pollutions. And I believe that is something that we will go into it. And along the way, maybe Kelly will also share with us, what got her into doing what she's doing right now. But Kelly, would you like to share with us the light pollution first? Should I bring out the
Yeah,
slides
sure.
together?
Thank you. Yes, this is an excellent map to showcase that light pollution is a growing problem around the world. So we have all sorts of pollution. We have air pollution, noise pollution, radioactive pollution, soil pollution, but light pollution isn't really that well known. Only since 2016, when they brought up this map, and you can see this has been updated for the 2017, and there's lots of additions to go here. But our world, like I said, 1/3 of our population is in cities and can't see stars. So light pollution is really where light is really not utilised in the way that it should be, so extending into the sky. So there's a lot of things that are beneficial, are having detrimental problems and impacts, I should say, from light pollution. So one of those is that it negatively impacts humans. So we can have sleep disorders from this. Our research shows that it can affect us for obesity and depression and not having full proper sleep cycles. So it is something that it's too much of a good thing. We know that it's great to have lights and we need lights to navigate our way through the cities, but it is something that is becoming more of a problem. And also light pollution in our computers, our phones. We're living in a connected world, and it was only 100 years ago or less than that this has become a problem. So it is something that we are protecting darkness. Those 20 places around the world that I mentioned are really doing just that, a place where people can come and really switch off from their phones and their life. And also with animals, it does have an impact, and plants. So animals, especially nocturnal animals that we have here in Australia, like those that I just mentioned, they need darkness to be able to navigate their way through for nighttime, for feeding, for breeding. And so they are greatly affected by light pollution as well. If we just have a look at the next slide there, please, Christina. This is something that we have along the River Murray, which is you can see there, the Milky Way. So I mentioned about 2,000 or 3,000 stars can be seen. This is along the River Murray, and there's ancient cliff face here. So this is at our Aboriginal site, and I'll talk more about Aboriginal people and how I'm spending time with them, and they're teaching us to really slow down and connect with the world. Yeah, so if you could just see there that Milky Way, and that's something that to be able to stand and just look up and wonder about the fact that we are very insignificant as human beings at times here, and thinking about how amazing our universe is. And on the next slide, you'll be able to see.
I'm just going to pull it up to the full screen so that, our guests or our audience can truly spend just that 20 seconds and just let us breathe in, the stars that is shining bright in the picture, and just wonder where these stars are in Malaysia.
Yes. Yeah, it is certainly, as I said, the light pollution affecting our visibility of the night sky. And it is good to be able to breathe in that moment and really just think about holistically about how we are having an impact as humans on our world and what we can do to be able to protect our ecosystems and our environment.
Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, so this also shows a couple more of the Milky Way. We see our Milky Way in the southern hemisphere and in this part of Australia usually around winter. So those really clear, crisp, cold nights that you made reference to earlier when you first saw the Milky Way are some of the best viewing times. I'm standing there with my hand in the air on the picture next to say, come and visit. And it's something that we partner with an astronomer on the cliff top of the Murray River that you can see there. And our astronomer takes us right through the planets and the constellations, and to be able to look through a telescope so that you can see it very clear and crisp and just wonder about what's up there is really magical.
I really love the photo. Let me just put us to the background. I love this photo on the left so much because the I would say the sky is clear and there is this orangey golden. Is that the sunset,
Yes, it
Kelly? Is
is
that
the
the
sunset.
sunset?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can tell, the entire environment is like the air is not polluted. That's why you can get such a clear picture. And the water is just so still. The reflections of the trees and everything is as though I believe if the person who is really there standing at the near the water area, they might be able to see the reflections of the stars. Have you experienced something like that, Kelly?
I have, and one of the
Wow.
most incredible times was when there was a lady from Singapore who was the very first customer that came on a return flight after COVID and our international borders were closed. And she'd always dreamt of seeing the Milky Way and she'd never seen stars. And when she arrived, she flew here especially to do the tour experience. And this
Mhm.
particular night, the Milky Way was shining so bright that it was reflecting off the water. And she was just absolutely so emotional and crying. And so was I, because I think it's something that I've really grown up with. I've lived in this area on my parents' farm for a long time.
Mhm.
I've travelled around the world, but I've always lived here, and it's something that we've just taken for granted. And so to be able to see it through somebody else's eyes just was very moving. And also because we'd had such a struggle with 2 years for tourism and visitation, so that was just an added emotional part of it. But I think to be able to actually feel that connection with nature, and when I get home from those experiences, it's about 7 hours, I just feel like it's therapy, and it's been such a cleansing of my mind. And then
Mhm.
I do feel tired the next day because it's late nights, but I have this inner energy that I get from just being out there and seeing the stars. It's incredible.
And I believe when your Singaporean client or the tourists that have had that experience, because for us in Malaysia and even in Singapore, the night is always bright for us, especially in Singapore, because all the towns, all the malls, they are always shining bright with street lights and all those. I doubt any one of us can truly enjoy a total darkness sky so that we can see the brilliant stars that is shining on top of us. And I'm sure that touches a lot of our heart as you share. I can truly feel that as well. It just remind me of the night where I spend the time to just do nothing but to just observe the beautiful sky, lying down, on the grass and just look up and just not doing anything. I'm sure things that you perhaps take it for granted, but it's something so treasure for us.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I think that's something that should be really protected. And that's why the International Dark Sky Association has really put some frameworks around this so that we can have, just like we have conservation parks or national parks on the
Mm,
ground for our flora and fauna, what are we doing to protect the night sky? So it's kind of like heritage listing the stars in some regard. The
mm,
Aboriginal people have known, and they are the world's first astronomers now, about how to navigate their way through with the stars. And so we do include in our experience, and this is one of the things that really enlightens me, spending time with the world's oldest civilization, that they have known how special this is for a long time, and they were the world's first astronomers, creating constellations in the sky and have their dreaming stories, and their connection to nature has been something that's really touched my heart and taught me a lot. And I am somebody that also helps to introduce them with government representatives and other opportunities that they can share their knowledge as well. So I do have a few photos, Christine.
Yeah. So for those who go on the tour together with you or your organization, they are not just having the night sky, but also the interaction with the aborigines as well.
Yes, the Aboriginal people have this ancient rock shelter. It's 8,000 years old along the River Murray, and it's where 50 or so of their people lived and sheltered, and it's a very beautiful location, and there's a lot of carvings in the cliff that depict the stories of that time from 8,000 years old. It's Australia's very first archaeological dig. And so the beauty of the actual location is one thing, but then having the Aboriginal people share their stories is another. So the images, if you would like to show there, Christina, just really point out about how the Aboriginal people have that connection to the land.
Okay, hold on. I have a comment over here from Al. Need
Yes.
to travel to Alice Springs.
Yes.
I think this is for Kelly to answer. I don't even know what is Alice Springs is or where it is.
Oh, that's okay. Yes, Alice Springs is right in the centre of Australia, and there are certainly very dark places in the centre of Australia. And it's a really good point, Al, that you raised, given that you spent time here in Adelaide. You'll understand that the International Dark Sky Association gives accreditation to reserves and other locations. So there's dark sky reserves as the gold tier level, dark sky parks and dark sky communities. And to be given International Dark Sky Reserve status is because you need to be close to a capital city and a couple of other points of criteria. But our point of difference here in this area is that the Mount Lofty Ranges, which is geographical kind of mountainous area, certainly not mountainous, high mountains, but they do block the light pollution of Adelaide somewhat. So it's accessible within that 90-minute drive for people to get to, not only for visitation, but for research opportunities as well. So thank you for raising that. There are most certainly very dark places. On a scale of darkness measures at 0 to 22, and our International Dark Sky Reserve measures at 21.9, so almost as dark as you can get. The readings consistently have shown that over 4 years. To get an International Dark Sky accreditation, you have to show that in a report. You can't just get that accreditation.
Just simply
and you also
get
have
it,
to,
yeah.
then think you're dark, you have to continuously show it. And you need to have your local government on side and state government, because it means that you limit development. So we won't ever have a huge industrial area here because of that reason. So that is truly many levels of people and organisations coming together to protect the darkness. So Alice Springs, Andamuka, Arkaroola, some of these people names will resonate with people if they've been to Australia. Very dark places and exceptional places to see. Thank you for asking that question and mentioning that. The Aboriginal people, if I could just get you to have a look there, I just want to really show some of those images to continue. But so we have a family of Aboriginal people that have been there for operating experiences for 30 years. This is Riley, who's 9 years old. Ivy's showing, he's got clapping sticks there. So some of these are showcasing how resourceful Aboriginal people were and how they, again, are very connected to the land. And the next image is a canoe tree where they used to actually carve out from the river red gum trees the canoes to be able to navigate on the way on the river. And they used to do that a lot at night time in the coolness and when the Milky Way was shining bright on the river, like we talked about with our customer from Singapore that night. So the next image there for the Aboriginal people is just showcasing possum skins. So they're, again, utilisation and making resources for clothing. They certainly are very part of the culture and the Western culture that we have now, for sure. I mean, they live in houses, these people, or they shop at the supermarket. So these they certainly wear clothes like we do, but these is an opportunity to have an experience with them the way that it used to be as well.
Mm-hmm.
And some jewelry making here. These are native Kwangdongs, which are from the area. So, yeah, it's just a really beautiful way to round out the whole experience. So our tour is along the river, seeing the wildlife. We have a presentation similar to what I'm talking to you about, light pollution, a dinner, and then we go to North, the Aboriginal site at night time. It's only one of 3 nighttime experiences of Indigenous in Australia. So there's an opportunity to see it at night time, like I showed you on that first image. And then there's the cliff top experience with the astronomer that we can see there looking through this giant telescope. So yeah, it's really special.
Let me see if there is any, any. Oh, there's a hello over here to you as well. And we welcome all our viewers or our audience to ask Kelly any questions if you have any. And if you want to know more of her stories, do stay tuned with us. And also, I will just get our admin to pop up on the comment about the International Dark Sky Association, where the link will also give us a little bit of information about the light pollutions and how it can affect. And I watched that video. It's a short clip, about 6 minutes. Of course, it comes with a lot of explanation at the bottom. And one of it says that, being in this environment, it is on top of what, Kelly, you have just mentioned about the health, that impact us on the health. It also impact us higher possibility for exposures to cancer. So it did mention, according to research. And of course, in that short clip, it also talked a little bit what else can we do to reduce the light pollutions. And I believe one thing for sure is we definitely need to know what are the benefits for us, to reserve or to reserve this dark sky. But Kelly, can you share a little bit of some of the stories that you are with the Aboriginal people, and how they have touched you, and what motivates you to continue to do this, even though after the 2 years of struggle and not having any visitation, not able to run anything, yet now you kickstart it again?
Yes. Yes. So I think the interesting thing for me with showcasing the Nort archaeological site is,
Mm-hmm.
I said to you that it's a beautiful location, but it also is really about understanding Aboriginal culture and history and sharing that with people. It's very important to me. I've known the family for many years, but every time I go there, and we've taken near thousands of people now, every time I go, I learn something different. And Ivy, who's refers to me as a sister, which is a great honour, just explains different things. So I said to you about the connection to nature and about disconnecting from our busy world. So Ivy is a person that if somebody wants to come and have a meeting with her, you need to meet her at the river with a fishing rod in hand. There's no get your diary out. She's only ever emailed me three times, and she's mostly it's text messages, but there's a real understanding that they are very deeply connected to the land, which I've mentioned a few times, but deep understanding that their culture doesn't need to be busy and hectic like ours is. And I think, this is something that we are just growing so busy and so switched on all the time, to be able to just sit back and appreciate and breathe in that clean air. And that is something that Ivy does. She stops halfway on the tour and people lean up against the rail overlooking the river with the stars up ahead. And she says, I just want you to shut your eyes and listen. and you can hear frogs and crickets and birds nesting, and it is at night time. So it is just that opportunity to just stop.
Mm. Just by doing that, what are the impacts to yourself and also perhaps your tour, your clients or the tourists that you observe?
Well, they come back fairly silent when they get back on the bus, which is really interesting because they're just really thinking a lot about what she said. She's very humorous. So that, I guess, appreciation for the landscape and the culture. For myself, I honestly feel like my mind is much more vacant than it was before, which is
Mm.
sometimes a good thing, and not so much when you have to jump back in the saddle and reorganize tours the next time. I feel that I walk taller. For some reason, I feel like proud of the
Mm-hmm.
culture, and I feel proud that as a society that we are more accepting of our Indigenous First Nations people, and that we are asking questions, because it's been a long history in Australia that things, when European settlement happened, weren't pleasant and they were brushed under the carpet for a long time. So Ivy has this very welcoming way, and her husband Sam and all her family, of making people feel comfortable when they come there. And a lot of people have never met an Aboriginal person, even Australians. And so they have that opportunity to ask questions, and it's answered in a very non-confrontational way. And it's just, yes, there's spirits and ancestors there. I've had a lot of times where I've felt the wind rush past the reeds. I've had lights that have dropped down on the ground. I had a light with a whole group of people only 2 weeks ago, like absolutely jump off the fence next to me. And, I could talk a lot about spirits and the ancestors being there. There are many times we go into the rock shelter, and it could be cloudy. We've left our departure point an hour earlier, and people think, oh no, we're not going to see the stars. It's a 6-hour trip. We've gone into the rock shelter, and then Ivy's worked her magic. The ancestors have cleared the way, and we've come out to a sky, a blanket full of stars. And that has happened so many times.
And all these are magical moments where I guess any other normal tour, won't be able to give us that experience. As you share, Kali, you just reminded me of my personal experience in Peru as well as in Mongolia. So in northern Mongolia, I had the opportunity to have that. There's no development in Mongolia. It's just pure land, land
Yeah.
and sky, right? There's none. You have lots of animals and their dumps on the on the land, and that's it. It's just so natural. It's nature. It's really nature.
Yes.
And from
Yeah.
from a city girl like me, who are so afraid of all these things, and until I think it was the fourth day of the trip, I start to allow myself to just lie down with my jackets on, and of course the hoodie. There are still some layers of protection, the hoodie. And I just lie down. You just reminded me, I was just lying down. And also it's very cold at night in northern Mongolia, and the sky is just so bright. The sky is bright not because of the lights, but it's because of all the stars. And I was so lucky that we were able to see Venus. And someone from the tour mate is quite good with astrology and constellation. And yeah, so that was the first time I was being explained with constellations, and we just do nothing and just quiet. And as you
Yeah.
said, when the wind blow and you listen to the breeze, the sound of the breeze, and it somehow soothes our heart. And all those, stress that we carry from the city. And when you talk to the indigenous people, like the nomads, for instance, for Mongolia, the nomads, there's no problem in their life. you know it's like all the problem are so small compared to the stars that is shining on top of the sky. everything can be resolved, and all you need to do is just be at the moment and just enjoy yourself. And that is what the nomad has taught us, because they don't really have a place to stay, and they travel according to season, and they make do. And that is something
Yeah.
that I feel, what you are doing is also helping us to, or helping the tourists to also enjoy and embrace right in front of us, what do we really have, with that clear state of mind. And I like your observation. Perhaps before they stepped down the bus, they were all talking, chit-chatting, and having, some snacks in the bus. And then when they meet up with Ivy, and Ivy does her magic, and really absorb that moment into their entire body, and they come back to the bus and they just quiet down everything. I guess we
Yes.
have been too noisy in the past in our life, that we've forgotten quietness sometimes is truly what we need. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for sharing your experience there. I loved listening to how you were really immersed in that culture. And I think we, especially sometimes in cities, don't know the difference between day and night. The shops are open, the malls,
Yeah.
the casinos, and so we really, in days gone by, we knew that nighttime was the time to stop, but we just forget to stop now. And
Mm.
so when you get that opportunity to that mindfulness of slowing down, it is a great way to just think about the priorities in your life as well. I think that's what people are going through in their silence when they come back on the bus. And it's an absolute awakening in their mind
Mm.
about how busy they are and what they can actually do to go back and implement in their everyday worlds to make their life easier and to clear their state of mind. So, yeah, I appreciate what you've just said there, and I think also what you talked about with the astronomy. If we focus on that, when we're on the cliff top and we've got our astronomer who is got his laser pointer and he's pointing out constellations and planets, and then he does that for about 20 minutes and talks the whole time while our eyes are adjusting. So it's red light, which doesn't interfere as much with your night vision. And so during that time, whilst he's talking, he's getting our eyes ready to be able to look through the telescope to have more of that crispness. And then I think the most incredible moments I've ever witnessed in all this time is seeing Saturn, seeing people's reaction when they see Saturn and its rings, because it doesn't look real. It looks like somebody's put a slide
Comic.
at the end of the telescope. Yeah, it is mind-blowing. My hope is for everybody in this world to just once look through a telescope and see Saturn, because you can't believe that it's something so incredible. And that's another moment where I see people just quiet. And on the way home after the astronomy session, they're all very quiet. Yeah, we're a bit tired, but mostly it's because they're thinking about how insignificant humans are in the big scheme of things.
Mm-mm. Well, Kali, I'll just have some questions over here. Total agree with Kali. We forget to stop to reflect back our life and what is more important for us. And also we have Al asking, how big is your group dark sky gazing tour each trip? Is there a minimum number of packs, or perhaps a maximum number of packs? We can answer Al
Yes.
as well.
Yes, thank you, Lo, for starters there. That's true. I'm glad that you agree. Our minimum numbers are 6 people for the tour to depart, and our maximum is 25. And there are a lot of places that do stargazing that have a lot bigger numbers, and we find that it diminishes the quality of the tour if we have more than 25, because it takes a while for people to have that time to look through the telescope, and we don't want people to feel rushed. The whole point of this exercise is to
It's too
slow down.
slow.
Yeah. Yeah. So even sometimes when my itinerary is a little bit behind, say if somebody's arrived late to the tour, or we've spent a little bit because we stop at a lot of lookouts. We stop at 4 lookouts on the Murray River, overlooking where the ferries cross the river. And if we've spent a little bit too much time there, and it's my normal, okay, check the watch, I just sit, quietly and discreetly do that, and then just say, okay, we're going to mosey along. That's my favorite word, mosey. That actually means, come on, hurry up, poke, prod. But try to say it in a calm and relaxing way, because we pre-order our dinner so that the restaurant and the hotel that we go to, so
there's
we
certain
don't have to
time
wait.
limits.
Yeah, but I don't want people to be waiting for food. I would much rather them be out looking at the stars. So we try to be efficient, but that's the answer to the question about how many people we have on the tour.
Kali, I'm curious, of all the trips that you have made and all the people that you have bring, I'm sure there are some locals from Australia, and of course people like those from the cities. What is that biggest difference beside they are being very quiet and reserve their thoughts and their energy after experiencing it? Is there any, did any of your tourists shared their experiences in terms of emotion, beside tearing down right away, which we know, but is there any significant emotional breakthrough that they feel connected or they feel so disconnected, things like that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And I smiled when you first asked it, because the local people who, like me, have grown up here and have taken it for granted, they're the most interesting, actually, because especially if they've got somebody on the tour that is from overseas who is emotional, like seeing it through their eyes. You can just sense a shift of energy from those people in particular, because they're a bit surprised. And then
why would you cry when you look at the stars?
They're more surprised at themselves, actually, about how they didn't notice before. So there are some nights here, especially in winter, before I started doing stargazing tours, that I would walk out and look up and think, oh, wow, look at that. It just hits you. It takes your breath away. And these are nights that we've lived here, but there are just some particular nights that are so vibrant. And Mars, for example, is in view right now in the Southern Hemisphere here, and it's very red. So in terms of color, so you walk out and see that. So I think that surprise element of how they didn't notice, on a bit of guilty, but also gratitude, is a very overwhelming response. And I personally feel a great deal of gratitude every single time I do the tour. Number one, because I get it on the track and there's not, clouds are always a problem. So I feel grateful when the ancestors hear our call and open up the sky for us. But I also feel that it's just a therapeutic for myself, and the gratitude that comes because people are quiet on the way home. Often they'll get out of the bus and we've only really just met, and they'll launch into a hug with me. And I know that's really meaningful. And the testimonials that we receive are overwhelmingly positive, and they talk about how I've never seen such an amazing thing in my life. I'll never forget that experience for the rest of my life. People write, if you have a look on our website or our social media pages, it is just overwhelming and unprompted about how incredible they feel afterwards.
Nice. Well, you touched a little bit, of doing this and how it have make you feel a lot more gratitude and appreciation towards what you have, that you've grown up with, because seeing all this that doesn't grow up from Australia, like Singapore and Malaysia, they cry when they look at the stars. Yeah, but of all these understandings, of all the tours that you have, bring people experience and your observation of the people, and also working with the indigenous people, that group, that tribe, how has this changed your life or your attitude towards life and towards other people?
It's a very deep question, Christina, and it's very moving for me because I have spent a lot of time wondering about what my purpose is in life and
Mm-hmm,
wondering if I'm doing something worthy,
mm-hmm,
because tourism is, you're taking people on their leisure experience. They've spent their hardworking money and invested it with you, and you think, okay, well, I'm not saving lives. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer, but I am very responsible for creating an experience that they will remember for the rest of their lives. And that has changed me as a human significantly, because even though this tour is a little bit difficult for, like, the roller coaster that we've gone through, and the river is in flood right now, because
mm,
it's doing its amazing flush, that you may have seen on the news. But that actually is purposeful as well, because it's flourishing. And so I see humans flourish. I feel like I'm flourishing myself, and it's truly worthy. I'm feeling a bit
mm.
emotional about answering that question myself. I've got a bit of a fake smile instead of having some tears right now, because,
You can have
yeah.
some tears. You won't be the first one that tear in this body mind soul lifetime. I've teared before as well. Yeah, but I mean, Kelly, why I ask such questions, because Mongolia truly changed me. The landscape of the land, the nature, how the indigenous or the nomad per se, how they connect with the land, how, because you see, for Mongolia, it's slightly different with Australia. Mongolia is a big piece of land. They don't really have river and water. Water and river is something to them that is very sacred, very, very sacred. They take care of it so precious that when I got back from Mongolia until today, since 2016, the way I look at the water that coming from my pipe, the water that comes from the tap, and the drinking water that I just push a button and then the water will pour in, and it's hot water. I don't even have to boil it, our advance of technology. And yet in Mongolia, they still use, charcoal to boil and to cook things like that. And they shower, if they want to shower, they have to pay to go into a public shower place to shower. That is it's like it may take them like few hours travel distance to be there, a small little town that has water, supply. So for me, Mongolia trip makes me realize how, like you, how I took water for granted. So
Yeah, yeah,
I must be honest with you, when I got back from Mongolia, the way I shower in my shower room and the way I shower before Mongolia trip is absolutely 100% different. And the way I appreciate water is different. Yeah, so that was
yeah,
something that truly impacted me. And I was curious, since you are doing this so regularly, on almost like on a weekly basis, I'm sure it has something that truly hit your heart, and you just feel so blessed with. And yeah, so it's good that you have that flow. We have something over here. Wow, can feel you. Nature teaches how we can live life better. Yes.
yeah, yeah. That's very well said. And I love the way you were just talking about how your attitude has changed and your practices in your everyday world, and Mongolia has really changed you, and that you have a deeper understanding, and look at your commitment to the environment there. Ivy, at the Aboriginal archaeological site, she does some paintings with her family, some artwork that is very special to her. And I spent a weekend with them at the river doing some paintings, and I have an appreciation. You probably know Aboriginal art. You've seen the dot paintings and the circular lines that they do. It takes so much time and a steady hand. But she has some special paintings that she does called water, and it's called spiritual healing. And so the spiritual healing of the water is where she talks about people, if you feel depressed or you're feeling really agitated or something's not right in your tummy, the importance of going to a beach and just letting yourself float, or even being in the river, or even just having a shower and letting the water really heal your body, and watching, the bad energy go down and flow into the drain. And so her spiritual waters, she's also got some her spiritual waters paintings are mostly blue and white, and she's got some other ones which are brown, which are connecting to the land and cultures coming together. They are the two highest selling paintings that I see people getting on board the vehicle with. She does some other ones, which is dragonflies and echidnas and so forth. But when she talks about what the meaning is to people, you can see that really resonates. And so similar to what you've just explained, I'm sure there will be people around the world with her paintings that will be thinking a similar way to what you just have done, and how that's changed you and your attitude.
Yeah, and oftentimes, another thing that I got was, when we talk about the night sky, the beauty of the night sky is because in the city we are so busy, we are constantly chasing things after things, achievements, goals, or even, your health. You set a goal for it. For instance, I'm setting a goal for myself, for my health as well. But when I talk to the indigenous people, they taught me one thing that, also from the Mongolia, they are just so carefree. Carefree in the sense that it's not that they don't care about anything, but what they truly care is the culture. They really put effort to preserve their culture, and they are very proud of it. And they know their roots. Oftentimes, most of them, they truly know their roots as well. And they are just so have so much of appreciation for the land. And this is
Yes.
something, and these are all the ancient wisdom, I would say, I'm not sure if you agree with me, all this wisdom that somehow lost in transaction when we modernize our world. And
Yes.
we kind of lost
Yes.
connection with that.
Yeah, I think so, because you touched on this before about resourcefulness and the people of Mongolia, and that they are carefree, but they need to make the most of their opportunities. And this is the Aboriginal people as well. And I'm not in a position to speak about the culture in depth that I know it, because I only am referring secondhand information that I've heard on all these times. So I'm very respectful of that. But Ivy teaches me about things like the medicine. So the leaders of the Aboriginal people were called the Karachis, and that now we can see them in spirits, in whirlywinds, in dust circles that flow through our landscape, that the Karachis are moving through a whirlwind, and just that that they're there. And they were the leaders. They were like the witch doctors. They were very revered and respected. And she talks a lot about the Aboriginal, that we go to the men's camp and the women's camp. So they're two very separate things, and that along the river there's a special kind of lobster, you could say, that only the men were allowed to eat. But the women were the bosses of the tribe. They were the strong, so there's a lot of that conversation that goes on as well. And that they had to manage within themselves. If there was somebody that wasn't towing the line, so to speak, that wasn't being part of the culture and the community, and they would just get taken out to the bush and left there. Because then that showed them, well, if you want to be part of this tribe, you've got to go along the way with everybody. If you want to do something yourself, you're not going to survive out in the bush on your own. So there's a huge amount of those stories about the food and the shelter and the medicine and you know, just the importance of getting along. And people, I think, can take a lot of that about kindness and acceptance in our world from all sorts of Indigenous cultures everywhere around the world, because they have had to get along, and that's how their civilizations have managed for so long. So, yeah, it's very in-depth. And Ivy says we just entered the South Australian Tourism Awards, and my business as a tour and transport operator, and we won our category of the best in the state, which is amazing.
Wow,
and now we're going into
congratulations.
Thank you so much. We're going into the Nationals in Sydney in March next year against all the other winners around the state. But one of there's 10,000 word submission and a site visit. And one of the things that was so powerful to me was when I asked Ivy what she thought of our time together. And it was so profound, her answer, to say that, you know, Kelly, you're one of the white fellas that understands, that can feel it. We look at each other and we don't even have to say anything to each other. I just know what you're thinking and you know what I'm thinking. And she said that there are a lot of people that don't really understand. Now, I've only understood it recently from going there so many times and seeing the impact that it has with our customers. So it's not something that I understood before, because I probably didn't have my mind open to it either. You know, I think you've got to just adjust your adjust your priorities and what's important to you, and how that changes as well.
And I guess in a way, you know, our environment and the people that we hang out with does change and do change people and do change us as well. Definitely is for a better. And I just can't stop but to bring out this photo for everyone to view it again and just allow ourselves to absorb, you know, in the beauty of the sky, the Milky Way, and also, of course, this one where Kali is inviting all of us to kind of like touch the sky again. And before we end this live talk, yeah, to just let everyone has a moment to absorb. And of course, must say thank you to Kylie for sharing with us such a beautiful photo. I'm sure on Google we can find lots more, but that definitely it's a different experience when you are physically and personally experience all the entire journey together with the group, or together with the indigenous people, or the professionals that knows all the informations. Kelly, before we end this live talk, what is your last takeaway that you wish to share with the audience? A last takeaway for the audience.
Thank you. Yes, I do believe that everybody can play their part in assisting and redirection of light pollution around our world. I would encourage people to go onto the International Dark Sky Association website, which you made reference to, because just even the choice that you make of your light bulbs, apps that you can get on your screens to help reduce it, the blue light. So there's just an awareness about light pollution that I believe that everybody needs to know, because, again, like we said, air pollution, noise pollution, all of those we kind of know, but we don't think about light pollution because it's everywhere. And we've grown up with it, but we can easily reverse this. There's Earth Hour, where everybody switches off lights. So there's a lot of things that we have a chance to make a difference now in our energy, in our world, for a better place for our future generations. So I'm really grateful today to be able to speak with you, and it's just a great opportunity for me to reflect the deeper meaning of how we go about our experiences for people. And I would really love to see people to come over and just showcase our beautiful backyard that I have taken for granted for so much of my life. So thank you, Christina.
Thank you, Kali. Thank you. And for all the audience, if you still have any other questions, and if you would like to connect with Kali directly, you can, you can connect with Kali via her Facebook page over here, or even IG as well. It's the same, if I'm not mistaken. Just the IG, you have the experiences at the back. Yeah. So you can write to Kali directly, or you can let us know, and also put up your comment over here. If you do have, we will direct that to Kali directly as well. Of course, Kali, I would like to thank you as well for sharing with us, a little bit more about light pollutions. And I believe with this information, even though it's just a very introductory information, but it makes sense to us about the Earth Hour right now. Switching off that light, it gives that significant meaning. It's not just something because it's yippee, it's just something that is in the fashion to do so. And all of us can now add in a little bit more intention towards the event of the Earth Hour, that turning off lights for an hour. Yeah, so I guess this is a very good session that we had. And Kylie, thank you so much for being on board together with us. We do look forward to meet you in person. Perhaps I learned a lot along the way preparing myself for this live talk, and also during the live talk as well. And I'll here thank you very much, Kylie. Thank you. And also I enjoy and learning a lot. Now makes sense to me, the Earth Hour. Exactly. It also makes sense to me too. I was wondering, why are we doing this? To be honest, for so many years. It's just 1 hour. How can that 1 hour make such a difference? But when I watched a video from the International Dark Sky Association, yeah, so that makes sense. That makes sense. So with that, I'll say let's end it on a high note. Thank you, Kylie, so much. And I look forward that for you to touch more people, touch their hearts, and also, impact their attitudes towards their life as well. With that, I'll say thank you and goodbye. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.